What a week. I've decided to, with some 500,000 people in the US currently without power because of this major Winter Storm Fern, I thought it was only appropriate if could wear the most Florida looking shirt I own. So where it's like -7 degrees, it seems like in most of the Midwest and Northeast, it's 86 degrees today here in Orlando, Florida.
Rub it in, Dean.
So this is my Florida attire. I own one of these. I think it's all I'm allowed to own. So you're welcome, everyone. Well, here we are, the Good Life Conversations.
Yes.
Week 2, this idea of what gave you life this week. I did get some good feedback around the Icebreaker.
Great.
I've got one ready.
Okay.
So I'll share it. If you've got one, I mean, you never disappoint. But this
I have one, but
idea
you know what? I'm going to
of-
save it. I'm going to save mine for next week.
Look at you. You're so proactive. But the Icebreaker, and I've used this, it's been used on me, and it's so good. It's the question of what was your first paying job? And then connect it to who shaped you in that season.
I like it.
So a little bit less of the what, a little bit more of the who. And when we get to what gave me life this week, you're going to see that theme that kind of led me into this. It's the who, not the what. So Brilliant Miller, what gave you life this week?
Something that gave me life this week is the simple practice of stretching. It's one of those things that I never did before I golfed, never really had a reason to. Golfing gave me a reason to. I downloaded an app called Pliability. It's an amazing app. I think it's about $80 a year. So it's kind of pricey for an app, but it has all kinds of guided routines and they're specific to different activities. You can follow along. It's a high production value app. So I used that for a while. And then I got to a point where, a lot of those are like 20 minutes. And that's a long time for me to spend stretching. So I wanted to be sure that my stretching was more targeted to my golf. And I just asked ChatGPT, give me a 10-minute stretching routine that's appropriate for golf. And it did. It's basically 10 stretches, a minute apiece. I do them all almost every single day. And I feel so much better. I play golf better. But here's the thing that actually has surprised me. The first 3, which are just like a standing bend, and then if I sit down and stretch for my foot, left foot, right foot, so 3 minutes. If I do that before I sit down to write or to work, I feel so much better. And my mind seems sharper. I just feel better in my body. I'm able to work for longer. And if you would have told me that 3 minutes of stretching before I sat down to work would like unlock that for me, I wouldn't have believed it. But that's one thing I'm really grateful for, and it's giving me life this week.
I've known you for several years now. You often give me suggestions of some things that can make my life better, could give me more life. I like this one the best. So for those that don't know Brilliant, when you decide to do something, I mean, you really go all in and you'll push through the uncomfortableness. You'll push through the pain. You'll push through the learning curve. And unfortunately, there's a video of this where you encouraged me to do a cold plunge.
Yes.
Yes, I'll just wait and let you enjoy that moment there. In my mind, I know that this is mind over matter. I know I'm going to be all right. So before I, impress the crowd with how long I stayed in this bath here, tell us, how long do you do a cold plunge now? Like, how many minutes do you do this?
Usually I'll only cold plunge for 3 minutes. It's long enough to, as I understand, to derive therapeutic benefit. It feels great when I'm done. And I'll usually do the last 20 seconds fully submerged. And that's enough. That's enough for me.
And the temperature of this water is what?
39 or 40 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah. So for anyone who's listening to that, for a point of reference, go ahead and go to your favorite AI and inquire about this. Because I see people on social media and they're at 50-some degrees. Not brilliant, right? 39, 40 degrees. All right, so I step into this thing. I'm not going to hesitate. I'm just going to go in. And what felt like minutes, I've timed it. It wasn't even 10 seconds. And everything is screaming inside my body, get out, get out, get out. So the fact that you can get a similar experience as far as an aliveness, as far as a fine focus and 3 minutes of stretching, you have my attention.
Yeah, it's amazing. And as I was thinking about this in advance of our conversation this morning, I was reminded of the Latin proverb, right? Mens sana in corpore sano, a sound mind and a sound body. Um, and here's a little trivia that I thought was interesting is that ASICS, the shoe company, I don't know if you know this, but it's an acronym for that phrase, although they changed mens, which means body, for anima, which means soul. So ASICS is an acronym for anima sana incorpore sano, a healthy soul in a healthy body.
Wow, I did not know that.
Isn't that interesting? So this is, anima is the life force, the breath, the vitality, the inner animating principle, what makes a body alive rather than inert. And this idea of a clear mind, a sound mind and a sound body, or a healthy soul and a healthy body. I just love that. And what we're talking about with these conversations about what's bringing life to us, what's bringing us alive, what's allowing more life through us, however you might phrase it. I find, and I'm repeating now, but that simple act of stretching for 3 minutes helps me to feel that. And I love things like this that are their own reward, that it just feels good. And what it makes possible, like I've already said, more focus, more stamina, I think more clarity that I would have without it, and not just reaching for caffeine. Don't get me wrong. I still love, my morning caffeine, but this is, it's an addition and in some ways, I think even an amplification to that.
You said something that really got my attention is that embedded in it, it has its own reward. So even though you were trying to stack this to play onto your golf, it had its own reward. I like that a lot. And this idea of 3 minutes versus what you were doing previously, that would be 20 minutes plus. I've become a big fan of minimums, that things that take a longer time period. I know me. And for me to do that day after day after day, I won't, right?
Yeah.
Because I'll fall off the wagon, however that phrase goes. I mean, fall off, get run over, get drugged by said wagon.
Yes.
If I'll miss 2 or 3 or 4 times in a row, brilliant, I could go 6 months and not do whatever that thing was. But 3 minutes, it's hard to excuse away not having the ability to do something for 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's right. And it's like there is no perfect routine when it comes to anything, right? Eating or fitness or sleep or whatever. But is the routine better, the perfect routine, if you could find it, that you never do, better than the imperfect routine that you do regularly? Even if you did 1 minute of stretching versus the perfect 20-minute routine that I do once a month. I don't think so, right?
That's exactly right. You've heard me say for a long time that I do 1 push-up every day. No, there's not a built-in reward for that, unfortunately. But I'll do 1 a day because I find the most difficult part is getting to the ground. And if I'll get to the ground, I tend to do more. I read 1 page in a book every night before I go to bed. The most difficult part is picking up the book. But if I
Yes.
start that first page, I tend to get pulled in and will at least finish the chapter. 3 minutes. Stretching, a lot of people, I know a lot of people, stretching is hard for us to do. I mean, when we think about those things we want to say yes to, most guys I see at the gym, we go straight for the dumbbells, right? And get that bicep pump. I don't see a lot of us on the ground stretching. Any thoughts on why that's become so challenging for us?
Well, there's that saying, what's easy to do is also easy not to do. And it is. It's so easy. It's easy to stretch, but it's also just as easy not to do it. So there's that. And then we do what we like to do, or we do what we think will bring us, I don't know, accolades, recognition, from other people. So this thing, if the bicep curls are going to get us noticed, and stretching, there's no real outside, visibility that, oh man, look at how limber that guy is. Plus, I think that's part of it. It's not really valued in our culture. So that's my guess.
Yeah, I am in awe of the individuals. I mean, I'll see them doing the yoga right out at the appropriate locations. I'd like to be more limber. I just haven't been. I'm unable to make that commitment to it. My shoes are getting farther and farther away, it seems, now that I'm 56 and, I've got to sit in a special chair these days to be able to put on the socks and put on the shoes. I'm exaggerating, but it starts to feel that way. It's
Yeah.
probably similar to flossing. I make this illustration a lot. If you were to isolate a flossing moment and what was the overall impact of that flossing moment to your long-term oral health, immeasurable. But if you'll floss every day for a long time, it's one of the most significant things you can do. And I know in my head that stretching is the same way. If
Yeah.
you would do this 3 minutes every day for a really long time, probably the most significant thing you'll do to not be the old guy that shuffles around, when he walks.
Yeah. Well, I suspect you're like me, and probably many people listening, whether they've recognized it or not, is this idea that it's much easier to maintain what we have, our health,
Mhm.
our flexibility, our strength, than it is to try to regain it, right? And there's the saying about a healthy person has many wishes, but a sick person has but one, right? So this idea of preserving what we have while we have it, and I tend to think of it like being warm, that if you go out on one of these cold winter days, like we're experiencing in so much of our country today, that it's way easier to go out bundled up and warm and keep the warmth than it is to allow yourself to be cold and try to regain it. So for me, this is something I really saw when I read Peter Attia's Outlive. I thought that book was amazing. And when he talked about, he had so many reframes in that book that I just thought were profound. And one of them is his idea of the centenarian decathlon. I don't know if you've heard
Mm,
about this idea,
I
but
haven't.
he talks about when we go to the gym, and he lays a great groundwork of the like a really convincing argument for why exercise is so important, right? Both cardio and strength, also flexibility. But what he talks about is not just going to the gym as like some kind of maintenance. That's the thing I should do so I can eat more dessert or something. But instead, he encourages this idea of the centenarian decathlon, saying, what do you want to be doing when you're 100? Or 80 or 90, and think of your
Good.
exercise regimens now as training for that thing. And by the way, don't just think that it's actually a maintenance issue as much as I just said that, because we know that our ability declines naturally. So if you want to be able to hike or to ski or to pick up the grandkids, the great grandkids, in your fourth, fifth, I guess seventh, eighth decade, that
Right.
you got to be on top of that now, not just hoping that it's going to work out or whatever. And I love that. I love that perspective.
It's really good. I mean, the simple side of it is if you're not doing it now, you won't be able to do it then. Um, I mean, that's an oversimplification, but it certainly gets there. I was saw on LinkedIn someone was making this idea highly visible that if we were to time travel someone 3,000 years ago to the current day and show them a CrossFit gym to explain to them that we dedicate an hour a week or an hour a day to go to put ourselves in this position to have some resistance, it would blow their mind because that was just
Yeah.
every single day.
Right.
Now, with the ease of AI today, and this is where this person was trying to make their point, the ease of AI, we're probably going to have to start doing some of these mental resistance, these challenges mentally, because AI is able to do so much of the critical thinking. I was talking to my wife last night. I find myself doing this. I could sit for 35, 45 minutes trying to find the parallel, trying to find the thread between all of these different readings, or I could give these readings to AI. What's the thread? It finds it immediately. And now I can spend my 35, 40 some minutes now doing something that makes it uniquely my perspective.
Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
thing with what we did physically once I started doing mentally. So I think having these and even your 3 minutes of stretching probably wasn't required 1,000 years ago, but it is just kind of given our lifestyle today. And so the fact that you can find that this actually gives you life, that's a great find this week.
Yeah. 100%. I was reminded of that as I went through this week, and I'm grateful for it. What about you? What's bringing you life this week? Where did you find your attention going and life showing up?
Yeah, when I really sat with it this week, thinking about this, it didn't come from an achievement. It didn't come from a milestone like I referenced last week, the 20-year mark. It didn't come from a win or a solved problem. It came from a person, came from a who. So I was watching this show on Netflix. It's called Somebody Feed Phil. Have you ever heard of this brilliant?
No. I like it already, though.
So this guy, Phil Rosenthal, was the producer of Everyone Loves Raymond.
Hmm.
Fascinating guy, fascinating story. There's 8 seasons now of this show. I've just recently been introduced to it. And so he was in Venice, and he makes this kind of off the hand comment at the end of it wasn't about the beauty of Venice, even though that was there and he referenced it. But what he experienced as Venice was this realization of, I now have friends all over the world. And so he looks into the camera. I'm looking to you, but I'll look at you now in this camera. He looks into the camera and he's like, go out there. Stop watching us. Go out there. Meet somebody because it changes everything. I like that. Then I read this relationship manifesto by David Brooks. You familiar with his name? I think you are
Yeah.
familiar with his name.
Yeah.
And so in this manifesto, he really starts to then digest what is necessary and how do we get to this hyper individualism, which is a really interesting topic for sure. And so then I started looking at these stats. So I went to Grok. These are recent. So the AARP survey published December 2025, 40% reported feeling lonely. The APA, the American Psychological Association, 54% felt isolated from others. Younger men, 18 and 29, rank among the loneliest groups in Western countries. It's fascinating. So even though I am personally experiencing all of these accomplishments and milestones, what gave me life this week was a friend from Austin who was in town in Orlando and said, meet me for dinner. Now, he was here for a conference, so he couldn't pick the timing, but it was his wife's anniversary. He and his wife's anniversary, 20th year anniversary. And his birthday was the very next day.
Wow.
And so he takes a phone call. The waitress comes up and she's like, did your guest leave? And I was like, no, it's his wedding anniversary. So she came back. When they brought us our dessert at the end of the evening, they brought us he and I, this happy anniversary cake. Hilarious. Being with this specific person, hearing their life story, hearing what's important to them, hearing about the changes and the impact they want to have on society. I mean, this person is pushing themselves, so uncomfortable in the things that this person is saying yes to. It wasn't about the amazing steak I had. It wasn't the great location. It wasn't the great view we had, even though all those things were true. It wasn't how expensive the dinner was, because it was very expensive. It wasn't the what, it was the who. And now just reminded of that. And that certainly gave me life this week.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm often amazed by the ability of a single relationship to change the entire trajectory of our lives, right? And obviously not every single person we ever meet or even develop any kind of relationship with necessarily dramatically changes it, but they all change it to some degree, and some change it enormously. Like the person you marry, the person you might develop a business partnership with, things like that. And I just think about that every day when I wake up. Today could be the day I meet somebody that just deepens the quality of my life so much. It's a
It
fun
really is
thought.
true. Yeah, last week you talked about the power of doing a review. And so when you look back on a week, when you look back on a year, when you look back on a life, I mean, there's what gave you life, but there's also who was at the center of it,
Yeah.
right? So it's not necessarily what we're chasing. It's also noticing kind of who's already there or who's walking with us.
Yep.
I mean, our relationship came from, I was mentoring this guy, Michael. It was almost 5 years ago, which is hard to believe, who then introduced me, then turned into this amazing community of 100 coaches, of which then I met you. My life is completely different just because I said yes to one mentoring opportunity.
That's
Right?
awesome.
It wasn't the what, it was the who. And
Yes.
so speaking of that and how much we're influenced by people, brilliant. Last week, you also shared something that I'd never seen before. Those little lights.
Yeah. Oh, you got 2.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's people in my house. So if I only get one, people take my stuff.
Oh, yes.
So this one's mine and this is everyone else's.
I love it. They're so handy, aren't they?
Oh, listen, I've clipped it on the nightstand right next to my bed.
Yeah.
because in the middle of the night, hear something, need to go do something. I can walk around with my phone, but then when I'm doing those certain somethings, where am I supposed to put my phone? Whereas this will just clip on to whatever I happen to be wearing. Anyway, yeah, it's really, really great.
That's awesome.
So great recommendation for sure.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, I know when we dreamed up this series of conversations, we thought that we would end each one of these conversations with an invitation or maybe even a challenge to people listening. We've covered a lot from stretching to relationships, the aspects of loneliness, health and wellness. What do you think, Dean? What might serve people listening if they heard it as an opportunity, as an invitation or a challenge?
I think the opportunity, and I think it's been the theme, is the who. Really do the review. How far back do you want to go back? Who's the who? And then text them, email them, write them a letter. I mean, give them that recommendation as I was thinking about you really impacted my life. And I think in doing that, the times that I've done that, it makes my circumstances feel lighter. I mean, as crappy as my circumstances might be at any given moment, when if I'm in a place of gratitude, and again, my mind is set on, yes, gratitude for the what, but man, when you can get gratitude for the who, that's a really great place to be in.
Yeah, 100%. Awesome. I love it. All right. And I will take that on myself and maybe I'll report back, but either way, I'll do it. I'll do that for at least one person. I'll reach out, let them know the difference they've made for me, how much I appreciate them, how much I love them. And I would say the how and the why that they've had that influence in my life.
I really like that. I'd like just to remind everybody, make sure you follow, make sure you like, hit that subscribe button. Um, We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, and we also have a newsletter that comes out on Wednesday on Substack. And so the link to that will be in the description below. And so in that, when we talk about things, when we reference things, you'll find the link to those. It's just as a quick way to kind of sit with and see the sources we may be referring to.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Dean.
Thank you, Brilliant. I'll talk to you next week.